Okay, this isn't a game or genre I talk about all too often. You've probably heard me use this song that you're listening to right now a couple dozen times, and on top of that, the game it comes from has an incredible OST backing it. And yet, despite how good its OST is, despite how fun I've had playing it, and despite how excellent the writing is, the only thing I've people heard talk about it is because of its release. Cyberpunk 2077 is an amazing game in the state it's at currently. It had a really rocky release which turned a lot of people off from it, and that's a damn shame, because this is one of my top games of all time. What I look for in a game follows three things exactly. Number 1, the OST. Number 2, the writing. Number 3, the gameplay. And then number 4, technical issues. Cyberpunk is a game that legitimately made me feel things for the NPCs I was interacting with and made me want to complete side missions. Typically, I get so sidetracked in games with all the different stuff going on, I just end up doing the main story and nothing else. But Cyberpunk made me want to explore the world, investigate the lives of people, experience all the side content. It drew me in like no other game has, and it's mostly because of how great its writing is. There's so many missions I could talk about that show exactly what I mean by its writing. But one of my favorite ones comes from the very beginning, and that's the first flashback you have with Johnny Silverhand. Spoilers, I guess. There's a couple things you should understand before we get too deep into it. The first is cyberpsychosis. You see, in the world of cyberpunk, whenever you adapt yourself with cybernetics, you have a chance of going a little bit crazy, a little tipsy. The more cybernetics you run, the more chance that you go insane. Johnny was born pretty early, which means he didn't have access to modern cybernetics, which means that metal arm, which is simple by the current day's standard, is absolutely mind-breaking for him. The second is what a cyberpunk is. You make a name for yourself by going out with a bang. The idea of legacy in cyberpunk is something that's so often hit on. What exactly you'll be remembered for, how exactly you plan on going out, taking life into your own hands, making your own story. The main decision at the end of the game is whether or not you'll go out on your own terms, or if you'll let yourself be overtaken. Okay, let's get into it. Your best friend is dead. You meet up with your employer. He tells you to clean up, and as you think you're about to make a clean getaway and work things out, he shoots you in the head and kills you. You wake up and you're in a totally new location. It's completely foreign to you. You haven't seen it before, and to the character is also confused. You're not the same person anymore. The person you are had just woken up from a bender and was about to perform a concert. His confusion matches your confusion. Someone tries to stop you from walking out on stage, but unlike your previous character who tried to talk things out, you just immediately pin him to the wall, see that you're not yourself, and know that you're in charge. The feeling of power is tantalizing. After saying goodbye to an audience of adoring fans, you step onto a helicopter with some of the greatest legends of Night City ever conceived of. They all know who you are, and they're all listening to you. You fly over Arasaka Tower, a place you had just been to and had to stealth your way out of because there was no shot in hell you were getting out if you were caught. As you're firing the machine gun, you push the person aside after they get shot in the head and take over, destroying legions of Arasaka soldiers and mechs. But that's just a helicopter, right? You're using heavy machinery until you land and find your first human enemy that you have to fight on your own. Now, depending on how you spec, you are probably only doing 50-40 damage as V. And when you finally fire Johnny's pistol for the first time, and you see the 4-digit damage number, oh, it's like that. You bust into a room and break some heads, destroying enemies in front of you. You get shot a few times and you're at low health, so you decide to take a little bit of cover. And would you look at that, you're almost back to full health instantly. Time to reload? Here's a flashy animation of how you reload this shit. You break to the elevator, plant the nuclear bomb, and then tell your friend that you have one more thing to do. You're gonna leave a manifesto, your going out card, to tell the entire city who did this and why. As you're about to leave, you get stopped by the Atom Smasher, the legendary soldier of Arasaka, 99% Borg and still remains semi-conscious. To survive as V, you had to run, but to survive as Johnny, you have to fight. It doesn't turn out well for you, but you give a one last fuck you to Arasaka, as you don't give them any information, and you tell them to fuck right off. Kind of. You see, everything that happened, everything that I just explained, that wasn't really what happened. You see, Johnny didn't really try to make it back to the helicopter. Instead, he went deeper into Arasaka to find someone he used to know, Alt Cunningham, a netrunner who was his lover. While there, he got one-tapped by Atom Smasher, cut in half cleanly, his mind repurposed without any hesitation. As you continue out on the story, you learn more and more how much of a jerk Johnny was, burning every bridge he ever created. The only reason he cared about Alt was because it was something familiar, didn't care about the lives of people who worked under him. He was a menace. The reason for these different telling of events is because of Johnny's cyberpsychosis. He thought of himself as the main character and people were just pawns. And in reality, he was just another rebel who would die by the hands of Arasaka for trying to stand up. And then it's your turn to play the game. Do you care about Johnny? Do you want to see him redeemed? Do you believe he can change? Now that he's just an engram and freed from his cyberpsychosis, he's mellowed out, he's chilled, he's learned he can be a better person. And at the end of the game, you're given the option. Give him another chance with your body that's dying, or try to get him removed and never let this irredeemable man get another chance. And that's why I really like Cyberpunk. It's an amazing game, and it has so many missions with so much moral gray about identity, about your future, about the legacy you lead, about how much of you is really there. I've just never seen someone talk about Cyberpunk in any way that wasn't, Lamau, the release was bad. And yes, the release was awful, to say the least. But it's improved as a game, and I think it's worth your money now. It has some excellent writing, some excellent characters, and truth be told, it's pretty fun. Being able to walk into a place, hack the mind of everyone in there, deal 1 billion damage before they even get a chance to pull their gun, it's a lot of fun. The game's writing is great, and I want to see more people talk about it, and this is my little contribution to get people talking about it. If you've played the game, you should comment about what your favorite side missions are, because there's a lot of really good ones. I think my second favorite one is the one where a guy's convinced he's Jesus, and so a bunch of studio execs try to record his brain so that they can get a really good movie out of it. I think it's like Passion of the Christ 2, which is hilarious. Anyways, I'll see you all. Bye-bye!